How's it going, everyone? It is Andre Williams, and over here we talk about stocks and focus on one thing. Always protect your profits. We also got to put in the disclaimer. I'm not a financial advisor, and this isn't financial advice. You just know when you do invest, you're doing it at your own risk. So today we're going to be talking about CCIV that's going to be bringing Lucid Motors public. We've spoken about this stock many times on the channel, and you know I'm very bullish on the long-term outlook in regards to Lucid Motors. So before we get started, let's go through the agenda. Of course, there's going to be timestamps down below, making it easy for you to navigate just in case you want to watch one part more than the other. So the first thing we're going to go over is the most recent news surrounding Lucid Motors, right? We want to see what's been going down inside of the market. We've seen some fluctuations in regards to price action, and I'm going to get that question. Dre, what is a good price to buy CCIV at? And by watching the technicals, you'll be able to look out for those pullbacks and be prepared and not surprised. After that is done, then we're going to be checking out the recent institutional ownership and as well as the short interest information. I feel this is something that you really need to be aware of if you're going to be a shareholder or you're looking at actually putting in a position. And then after when that is done, I'll be giving you guys my final thoughts. So let's get into it. So we're going to be going over this article in regards to CCIV, which I want to share with you guys. So the breakout in Churchill Capital is real and actionable. A retest of all-time highs with CCIV stock is not only possible, but probable. It's fair to say that the business combination between special purpose acquisition company Churchill Capital and luxury electric vehicle maker Lucid Motors got investors excited back in January. Indeed, CCIV stock flew like an eagle but then landed like a rock. Some folks might point to Lucid Motors as a poster child of SPAC and electric vehicle market hype. I understand where the skeptics are coming from, believe me. I too tend to be wary of hype and bubbles, yet Lucid Motors isn't a typical electric vehicle manufacturer and the hype might actually be justified. Besides, the share price was already beaten down and now seems poised for a comeback, and in fact there may be a major catalyst in the works in the form of a possible connection with a very well-known tech titan. A closer look at CCIV stock. April 26, 2021 was a great day for CCIV stockholders as the share price gained 16.16%, settling at $23.87. So just to kind of get things clear, this article came out on April the 28th, so the stock is actually even cheaper now. So that's to give you guys just a quick little heads up. What could possibly have caused the stock price to move upwards in such a dramatic fashion? Don't worry, we'll get to that in a moment. For now, I would just say that it's a step in the right direction as CCIV stock bulls really needed a boost. It was amazing and horrendous witnessing the stock price go from $10 in January to a 52-week high of $64.86 in February, and then back down to the low $20 just a couple of months later. Even for the folks who bought near the top, I wouldn't give up hope. There may be something brewing that could galvanize the shareholders and send the stock right back to the top. Biting into the Apple rumors. Okay, so I won't keep you waiting any longer. The reason why CCIV stock popped recently is because there are rumors circulating that Lucid Motors is in partnership talks with Apple. I didn't see anything about it on Lucid's website, but thank goodness I regularly check with my colleagues at Investor Place for updates on events like this. For instance, contributor Chris McDonald pointed to me a report from WCCFT Tech which may have fanned the flames of the rumor mill. This, I believe, is the key paragraph which might have gotten the social media pundits all worked up. The fact that Lucid Motors CEO Peter Rawlinson did not explicitly deny any contact between Lucid Motors and Apple over a potential partnership is very significant. It's hard enough to analyze a CEO's comment. How can we analyze the lack of a comment? Yet, I see the point here. If there was truly zero chance of a partnership with Apple, then Rawlinson probably would have said so by now. Better reasons to buy. To loosely quote Investor Place contributor Luke Lango, in business speak, declining to comment usually means yes. Moreover, as Lango points out, former Apple chief designer Johnny Ive is on Lucid's board, so it's not unreasonable to conclude that an Apple deal might be in the works, but doesn't make sense to buy or hold CCIV stock solely based on that possibility. I've got a better idea. How about owning the shares because Lucid Motors is preparing to commence a production of the Lucid Air in the second half of 2021? Or maybe you could buy the stock because Lucid sold out every available reservation for its Air sedan in Dream Edition trim. Amazingly, that edition is priced at around $170,000 minus rebates and plus options. Finally, you can hold Churchill Capital shares because you feel that the stock has been beaten down far enough and a turnaround is overdue. The bottom line, it's fun to swim in the pool of rumors, no doubt about it. However, that might not be a firm basis for investing your hard-earned capital. Thankfully, there are reasons to own CCIV stock outside of the Apple rumors, and if the Apple partnership is real, that's one heck of a nice bonus. So I felt like this was a great article talking about the possibilities that CCIV Lucid Motors could have with Apple. So we're going to be doing a technical analysis for CCIV Lucid Motors. So if we take a look at where it closed on the day, it was at $21.09, being down 4.44% on the day. On the low, it tested $21.09, and then on the high, testing $22.03. So one of the things I want you guys to take a look at and see right away are areas of support just in case it decides to pull back. So one area that we could see of support from the chart, you can see right here around 1840. So keeping an eye on this area, if it does decide to pull back, does provide a great opportunity, especially if you believe in the long-term prospects of CCIV Lucid Motors. Another area of support we have here, which is showing up as of late, is right here around 1950. If you can get it in this particular area, even better. I feel anything below $20 for Lucid Motors CCIV is an opportunity, and you could definitely take advantage of the upside potential. If we take a look at even where the price is right now in this $21 level, this is not bad either, and this also has been showing to be an area of support. Yeah, I did test 2109, but do keep in mind as it was going into the close, it's definitely looking bearish here from what we see from the candles. So it could end up testing back into the $20 range, and definitely look out for that particular area. If it does break $20, you already know about the 19s and the 18s. Now, let's take a look at the areas of resistance. If you see the areas of resistance, we definitely have an area of resistance here right at $24, and it's definitely tried challenging this particular area in the past, but as you can see, it just gets met with selling pressure. We do know SPACs are getting hit hard, and also CCIV being one of them that was able to reach all the way to $64.86 is definitely feeling the impacts of that. So just taking that into consideration and knowing from what we know now, $24 is that area of resistance, and we also have another area of resistance here right before 25, being at $24.90. So once we're able to actually get to these particular areas and start riding back above the 200-day, we begin to look really bullish with this stock. I do believe CCIV will be able to reclaim the $30 area, so right here around 30, before the end of the year. I'm very bullish in that sense for CCIV to get to $30. So that's why I say even now it's still a great opportunity. If you take a look even at the RSI down below, it's literally around in the 40s. So not too far off from 30, and it is below fair where we have 50. So just taking that into consideration, the price where it's at, it's really good, but you can probably get it even better if you decide to be patient. So we're now on fintel.io, so we're going to check out some recent institutional buys for CCIV as well as the short interest information. So on record, we have a total of 223 institutional owners, so this is fairly significant. As we scroll down on the page, green rows indicate new positions while red rows indicate closed positions. So one thing that we could see recently, especially as of late, institutions are definitely bullish on CCIV Lucid Motors. We have a total of 3 institutions from the 29th to the 30th who have closer positions, but outside of that, we do see some open positions here. Even seeing Creative Planning over here with 196,000 shares. So it's definitely definitely looking good for CCIV, and institutions are bullish on it. So that's great to know if you're a retail investor in CCIV. So as we take a look at the short interest information, short volume ratio is at 20%. So this is actually 1% below the 21% that we normally look for in regards to short squeeze potential. But one thing to do keep in mind, it is still fairly significant. So on April the 30th, out of 10.5 million shares that were traded, we just had over 2 million of those shares that were being sold short. So that is still fairly significant, and there's still a possibility this number could be even higher going into next week. So as we scroll down on the page, short shares availability, there's about 30,000 shares, and the short borrow free rate is at 34.45%. So that is fairly high, and it's very significant and something to be aware of. And as we scroll down on the page, look at the recent history of the short volume ratio. So we've seen it here at 19 back on the 29th, but as far as an overall high was back on April the 22nd, where we saw it here at 23.13. But it has had its moments where it's been above 21%. But also, again, this short borrow free rate of 34.45 is something to really keep an eye on, because for anyone who is shorting CCIV, it gets fairly expensive. So for my final thoughts for CCIV Lucid Motors, there's definitely a lot of upside here. One thing I want you to pay attention to, the price of where it's at, it's being beaten down a lot. And part of the reasons being is you're seeing, even when you go online and you search, there's class action lawsuits. And you know what? They're all BS. We've seen this with a lot of stocks we've talked about, and they're BS. And then on top of that, SPACs are being hit very, very hard. And the fact that CCIV was able to reach some crazy highs, again, it just adds just more salt to the wound here. So one of the things we need to know is where we could spot an actual opportunity. So by looking out for those areas of where it could possibly pull back to, it looks good. But even taking into consideration where the current price is at, and if you're looking to hold this for at least the next 2 to 5 years, I feel like you can get a great return on your overall investment. We already know in regards to reservations, there is demand for their vehicles. If they didn't have any demand for their vehicles whatsoever and no one wasn't showing any interest, then I'll be like, you know what? Might want to stay away from this. But the fact of the matter is the demand is there. And also, what does this mean? That just means when they do get these cars into production and people start buying, then we could see this being reflected on the balance sheet in future earnings report. And that's what I want you guys to see, is the long-term outlook in this. In regards to actually being able to work with Apple, I can see that there in regards to integration, maybe as far like maybe the software inside of their vehicles and stuff like that. As far as it going further than that, hey, we're going to have to kind of be patient, see how that kind of formulates. If it doesn't happen, I think Lucid Air would be just fine without them. But I do see some sort of integration in regards to software. Like, I feel like it only makes sense. But also on top of that, to kind of finish this video out, when it comes to the EV space, there's going to be a lot of growth ahead. We already know what Biden's plans are, but I want you to really focus on what stock you want to choose in this particular space, especially if you have limited capital. We already know there's so many EV plays out there, so I would definitely want to narrow that down to, okay, what charging stations do I want to invest in, and what car companies do I want to invest in? So an example could be like, hey, if you're already in Tesla, then hey, stick with adding with Tesla. And if you want to add a second one, it could be NEO, it could be CCIV, and so forth. The choice is going to be up to you, but I would just add just maybe no more than one. You don't need to have 3 or 4 electric vehicle plays in your portfolio. I feel like you can put your money elsewhere. Another thing is in regard to charging stations. If you decide, well, you know what, I'm going to go with ChargePoint, and then I'm going to be going with EVgo. And those are your 2. But in total, that is 4. So for myself, I would say if you really want to maximize your returns, you want to take the leaders in those spaces. And that's going to come down to the individual. If you believe one particular company has more potential than the other, then you roll with that. I look at Tesla. Tesla is a monster in the game. So just knowing that Tesla is a monster in the game, and I also do like ChargePoint, hey, those are the two stocks what I would choose if I was in the position as far as narrowing down and having more concentration in my plays. But also, if you're looking for a little bit more value, maybe you're looking for a little bit more upside, something that's maybe a little bit more cheaper than a CCIV, maybe a NEO would be great for the electric vehicle play. And as far as for the charging play, hey, you could look at something like EVgo. Shares are going for like what, 13? You can get it in the $12 range and so forth. Again, that's just to kind of break that down very quickly. I know I get this question like, hey, there's so many stocks in this EV sector, which one should I go with? I'd say, hey, narrow it down to the ones that you have the most conviction in. Hope you guys enjoyed this video.